welcome to another episode of the Journeys of Not So Ordinary People podcast. I'm one of your co hosts. I'm Dr. Joe Hamlet. And as always, alongside me is Dr. Dave Peltz. How you doing, Dr. Dave?
Dr. Dave in the house, man. I'm doing great.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you all for tuning in. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. And if you're brand new, thanks for tuning into this episode. So, we are the Mid Career Professional Podcast, or this is the Mid Career Professional Podcast. And again, as all of our previous episodes, we're assisting you on your journey, whatever that journey is, whether it's personal or professional. But we, again, say this all the time. Me and Dave are still on our journey together separately. So, this is, again, a way for us to hopefully provide you with some things that will help you along your journey. With that, I'll jump into our topic. As always, one of us will introduce and pass it off to our colleague. So, for today's episode, our topic is why growth happens when you step outside your comfort zone.
That is a good one, Joe. That is a very good topic. I feel like we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
and
Seems like it.
yeah, so this topic is good. It piggybacks on several other topics that we've discussed before in the past. Identify why growth happens when you step outside of your comfort zone. And the reason that that's important is when you're in your comfort zone, you're basically on cruise control. It's wash, rinse, and repeat. You're doing well. You got it down. You can. You're probably do it in your sleep and don't remember it. And stepping out of your comfort zone is when growth happens. It's and why that happens is because you're not washing, rinsing, and repeating. It's not rote. It's not something you're used to doing all the time, every day. Um, so when we step away from the comfort zone and go into something that's outside of your comfort zone, or that's a little uncomfortable, or that's challenging, that's where growth occurs. Because if you already know what you're doing and you're not changing things, there's no growth happening. It's when growth happens when change happens. So we think about. I'm going to use you as a great example with your military background as a jet engine mechanic, stepping outside your comfort zone. Well, I'm going to pause there for a second. I'll get back to that, I promise. So outside your comfort zone can be broad, like completely different, or it can be outside of your current comfort zone by refining and improving the current skill set. So, with Joe as an example, as an aircraft mechanic, outside of his comfort zone, but still related, is working on an automobile engine. Something that's drastically different might be going from being a jet engine mechanic to being a scuba diver, or something like
Right.
that, way out of the comfort zone. Um, and so for me, being outside of my comfort zone, as having a lot of training and management and leadership, um, teaching experience might be to work on a car engine
Yep. Yep.
instead of saying, "Hey, I'm good at training and managing and process improvement. What's a new tool I can use to further develop that expertise?"
Well, you brought up something very good, that should be considered when you're thinking about stepping out of your comfort zone, or you think you might need to grow or advance. Is like you said, is it the extreme where you go completely out of your comfort zone into something totally different, or do you enhance those current skills and just advance slightly, or move forward slightly, take on more things in that same realm. That might be helpful if you're considering, stepping out of that comfort zone. Do something that's very similar that requires a little more effort, because you haven't done it before, but it's close enough that you can utilize the skills, tools you have, that so it's not so extreme. Like Dave said, you go from aircraft mechanic to scuba diving. That is a totally different skills needed for that. So that would be one of those things that you would be like a fish out of water. I mean, literally. So uh, just really thinking about, if I want to advance, I want to move forward, how can I do that with, you know, with not without having the big shock, or the explosion of, man, this is totally new to me. I am definitely like a child in here and I don't know where to go first. That could be overwhelming, and that could, maybe make you pause in the future if you're trying to get out of your comfort zone. So that's one of the recommendations I would have, or I think we both would have, would be try something that's similar. Again, if you're familiar with the software Excel, maybe use that in your daily routine. What if your boss asks you, hey, I need you to do a project? Maybe you advance to project management software. Has very A lot of things are similar, but it'll still require you to expand a little bit to learn that particular software. So again, those are some simple things you can maybe pick up, that might help you adjust a little bit so that you're not going to the extreme, and then again you're in a corner because you don't know what to do or where to go because you overextended, not really ready for that major change or that major growth. So that would be a recommendation I would have when you're thinking about getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. And I like what you said about using a Microsoft product, and we can also parallel that to using a Google product
Right.
that's
Yep.
similar. It's expanding, it's outside of your comfort zone, but it's still relative enough to what you're doing that you are going to be learning, you are going to grow, but it's not like that. I'm going from driving my automobile to learning to become a pilot.
Right. Yep.
That significant difference within the same realm of commuting, instead of a car, it's an airplane, or something even completely different, like we mentioned earlier, that mechanic to a scuba diver. That's just totally. I don't think there's anything that really relates aside from using your hands to swim versus using them
Right.
for your hands become your tools. So,
Right.
and we can even correlate that to being outside of your comfort zone and growing to education. Maybe you started school and then you stopped and you're afraid to go back because it's been many years. And returning to school, that could be outside of your comfort zone, or completing that degree, or completing that certification, or completing that internal training that you've been putting off because it's outside of your comfort zone. You don't enjoy it, but it is required. So outside of your comfort zone can be very positive. Sometimes it's required, by the company. I remember in corporate America, we had, at least a dozen trainings that we had to do. And I always put off the ones that I was least comfortable with, that I didn't like, until the very end. And I think about it now, maybe I should have just ripped the band-aid off and took those first, because then it would have made the training enjoyable for the back half.
Right.
Instead of
Well, you
dreading it the whole time.
right. Well, you just touched on something too, that as you try and advance in the workplace, in your career, that is some of the expectations that your boss or whoever you report to might come to you with those tasks that you're not, normally you don't normally do or not normally familiar with. That might be the expectation, that they see how you perform, that you can, manage stepping into something that's out of your comfort zone. They may ask you to lead a meeting in their absence, so things like that, that might get you to that position or that place that you weren't expecting. So just understanding that these are ways that you could be growing, and other people might be paying attention to that to see if you're ready for the next level of your career or the next position. So these are some of the things that you need to consider as well. I know I've heard that many times, working throughout corporate America, where they'd say, "Hey, we want to see how you perform this." Well, they don't tell you that directly, but you learn along the way that was the reason why they gave you this assignment that you normally didn't do. And a lot of times, the first thing most of us do is, well, that's not my job description, or I've never done that before, and you immediately go down the path of, that's not normally what I'm used to doing. It's out of my comfort zone, so I don't want to do it. And again, that could be a test to see how you respond, whether you're able to do those things that are outside of your.
Yeah, and we can take this on the personal side as well, and in your personal relationships or interpersonal relationships with other people. Maybe you're not used to talking in front of large groups, or maybe you're the reserved one in the relationship, and you prefer not to, just to kind of go with the flow. Well, step outside your comfort zone. Maybe initiate something. Be a little bit more descriptive. I was watching a show last night, and the relationship paradigm was the one person always said, "How is your work? How was work today?" And the other person always replied, "It was fine." Maybe be a little bit more, expand a little bit more on what does that fine day look like, and elaborate a little bit more. Communication is a key to relationship and understanding each other. So just like it is in the workplace, if they say you're doing great, what does that mean? I walk by Joe. Joe, you're doing great. How you doing? See you later. It's like Joe's going to be scratching his head, going, "What the hell is Dave talking about? What
Right.
what am I doing great? Walking down the hallway, thinking, breathing."
Well, the personal side, I think, is a little more challenging. Again, you talk about those interpersonal relationships. It's how much do you want to let? How much of you do you want other people to know about, or
Right.
how much do you want to let in or let out? So
Mhm.
that again, because we go back to how that relates to corporate America or anything else, some people try and take advantage of learning those things about
Right.
you as you may be wanting to, get uncomfortable by allowing people to know things about you and stepping out of that comfort zone. It can be at a detriment at the same
Yeah, yeah,
time
yeah,
because
yeah.
some people may use it as a
And
way
that's a
to,
good point, Joe. Be
yeah,
be careful about what you share and what you volunteer for. It reminds me of being in basic training, and they said, "Who likes to bowl? Who likes to go bowling?" And everyone raises their hand. They're like, "Okay, you clean the toilets." And it's like, oh man.
right, yep, yeah, that's yeah, you're right. That's one of the things you learn early on in the military that you
Or
typically don't volunteer for
does
things.
anyone have any hairstyling experience? Oh, great! You get to pick all the lint out of the broom heads.
Right. So yeah, again, that is why there's a reason why some of us pause
Yeah.
to stepping outside of our comfort zone or doing things because you don't know what's on the other side of that, which is part of it, and you don't know what you're gonna face.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, just use try to use a little common sense. I know that's
right,
harder to come by and find on the online retailers. Common sense is becoming very rare to purchase. It can be very expensive sometimes, but think about how you want to grow, and what can you do to better position yourself with your growth. And Joe mentioned, maybe it is taking on that slightly different, or a task that's a little bit different that you're not comfortable with within your workplace, or maybe even at home and you're on the personal side of things. Maybe you want to start, learn how to plant your own plants, and instead of having a landscaper, something as small as that. I mean, and to some people that may be daunting. So it's all you have to consider the perspective as well. And think about the growth that happens. I know we don't like to have restructuring occur in the workplace, but that's going to put you outside of your comfort zone.
right,
Think of it
yeah,
as an opportunity for growth. What can you do with that restructuring or that lateral move into a different department or under a different leadership that can help you grow? It's definitely outside your comfort zone. Your reporting structure is different. What can you do to gain something out of it? What can you learn from that? What are the
right.
things to do better, and what are the things to definitely not do?
Well, and Dave, right now we're at a better place as far as learning about a position or about things because information is out there at your fingertips. It's not like in the old days when you had to use encyclopedias or guides that maybe didn't still help you with your problem. But now again, you can type in an exact question you want to learn about or something you want to know about, and you're going to get hundreds of pages of responses. And then from there, you can sift through what makes sense for you. It's all kind of like we've always talked about. You can have the exact blueprint for something, but you're going to pick and choose what you need that's going to be applicable to what you're trying to do. So same thing with your comfort zone. If you want to try something new, try something different, there's tons of resources out there for you. So it's a little bit
And
easier today than it probably was in the past.
yeah, and I'll use Joe and I as an example. About stepping outside of our comfort zone. We were very comfortable with teaching and providing training, but turning that public speaking into a podcast,
Right.
that was very uncomfortable for us. It was daunting. And then once we felt we got good at it, this AI thing appeared, and we're like, oh no, 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 don't do that. That's
Right. Yeah.
AI. That's robots taking over the world. And then we stepped outside of our comfort zone, and we've incorporated different facets of AI to help us continue our growth within creating these podcasts.
Right.
So
Yeah. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
I
just
think
going to
we're on
say,
the same
looks
page.
like we're getting close to time where we do our weekly challenge. So, Dave,
Yeah.
what is our weekly challenge?
Yeah, great, Joe. So, our weekly challenge for you is identify one area outside of your comfort zone and then try to list at least one, maybe up to three actions you can take to improve that area. You know, three would be kind of ideal, but if you can only think of one, then that's fine too. And remember, we've created the weekly companion journal for this. That's on our website. You can download it for free. It's a downloadable, fillable PDF to help you track your weekly challenges and your progress. So we encourage you to do that. It's a tool that we created. It was asked for by several people, and we responded by doing that. And if you want to learn more about yourself, you know what might be outside your comfort zone, we've got an assessment and a diagnostic tool that are also downloadable and available if you want to try to use those tools as well at no cost.
Okay. Thanks for those reminders, Dave. So, what are your final thoughts on stepping outside of your comfort
You know, Joe, early in my career, I did not like to step out of my comfort zone. And as I started stepping out, the more I stepped out of my comfort zone, the more I enjoyed doing it because I fell in love with learning and growth and, you know, personal and professional development and career development. And I'm like, you know, this is actually fun. I like to challenge myself now. Sometimes I like to challenge myself more than other times. Sometimes I want to go way outside of the comfort zone. Sometimes I just want to dip my pinky toe in the pool. And that's
zone?
as much as I'm going to do. So just remember what, you know, define what outside of your comfort zone is to yourself and think about things that you can do to improve stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Well, thanks for that summary, Dave. And I won't add too much, but very similar to you. Early on, I didn't step outside of my comfort zone much, but like you say, once you step outside of it, it's like, oh, this is fun. I did learn something. I did push myself further, and here are the results. So, I am more apt to step outside of my comfort zone now. But like you, it still limits. Sometimes I'll go full in, and other times I'll just take baby steps. So like Dave said, to just define what things are outside of your comfort zone that you might want to learn more about or might want to challenge yourself, and start to identify those things, and you'll see once you start to push yourself into those positions, you'll learn that we are resilient. We have the ability to do so many more things that we're limiting ourselves on by not stepping out of our comfort zone.
Absolutely.
So yeah, thanks for tuning in to this episode. And as always, if you want to hear more about certain topics or there's things you want us to discuss, comment in the comments. Our information is in there, so just reach out to us. We will definitely respond. And thank you for tuning in again. If you've been here before, or if this is your first time, thanks for showing up. And for somebody that might need this information, please share our information with them, so that they can go start their journey, or continue to develop on their journey as we all have. So, with that, we want you to continue being your not so ordinary you.